Assalamu alaikum and welcome to our documentary. Here we are representing Group B and our documentary is about glacial and interglacial period as a part of meteorology course. Here the first term that came is what is glacier. Glaciers are massive bodies of perennial slowly moving ice and the glacial period is an interval of time within an ice age which is marked by colder temperature. Then comes the interglacial period, which is an interval of geologic time of warm temperature, glacial and interglacial in meteorology. Meteorology deals with the atmosphere and its phenomena. All the phases of water are related to glacial dynamics. Glacials are the sentinels of climate change, and widespread loss of glacials may alter the climate pattern in complex ways. During an interglacial period, sea level rises as the temperature increases. Then comes the causes of both periods. Both the glacial and interglacial periods are caused by the cyclical changes in Earth's orbit and spatial orientation. When the solar radiation decreases, the starting of glacial periods begins, and when the amount of solar radiation increases, then the Earth shifts from glacial to interglacial period. During the past 800,000 years, the glacial period typically lasted for 100,000 years, and the interglacial periods has lasted for around 10,000 to 15,000 years.
Glacial period. Glacial period is an interval of time within an ice age marked by colder temperature and glacier advances. The last glacial period ended about 15,000 years ago. Characteristics of glacial period. Significant drop in the temperature. Large portion of Earth's surface covered in glacier and ice sheets. Sea level drops, the concentration of carbon dioxide decreases. Specific glacial. There have been several past glacial periods. These are Glacian, 2.6 million years to 1.8 million years ago. Calabrian, 1.8 million to 7,80,000 years ago. Mindel, about 4,80,000 years to 4,30,000 years ago. Breeze, about 2,20,000 to 1,30,000 years ago. Ram, about 1,15,000 to 11,700 years ago. Here's a graph of ice's temperature changes. The temperatures change within the passing years.
This is Krishna Das. I will talk about interglacial period. An interglacial period is the warmer period of time between ice ages where glaciers retreat and sea level rise. The interglacial period is the warmer period of time between ice ages. We are currently living in an interglacial period of the Quaternary ice age known as Holocene. It began at the end of the glacial period about 10,000 years ago. Interglacials are the interval between glacial period characterized by warmer temperature, sea level rise, and the retreat of ice sheets and glaciers. Interglacials are typically have lasted 10,000 to 30,000 years. Now, specific interglacials are the last six interglacials are marine isotope stage 13 is 524 to 474,000 years ago. Holstein and marine isotope stage 11 is 424 to 374,000 years ago. Holstein and marine isotope stage 9 is 337 to 300,000 years ago. Arosa interglacial and marine isotope stage 7E is 242 to 230,000 years ago. In marine isotope stage 5E is 130 to 115,000 years ago. Holocene is 12,000 years ago to the present. Thank you.
Glacial-interglacial cycle refers to the consecutive changes of the two long-lasting periods, glacial and interglacial. In this graph, you can see difference in temperature from medium value for about 45,000 years. 0 in this graph mean average temperature. Point that 0 doesn't mean 0 degrees Celsius or Fahrenheit. It's just average temperature point. Temperature gets below 0 indicates the glacial periods or periods with lower than average temperature, and the area above 0 indicates the interglacial periods or periods with higher than average temperature. Some questions arise here: how would you calculate an average difference in temperature or time? Considering that we are talking about geological time scale, you don't have to calculate exact number of differences. Look at the graph and notice that difference between peaks of the glacial and interglacial is somewhere about 1 lakh years. The next graph gives the message that concentration of carbon dioxide is fluctuates with temperature.
Today, I will talk about the differences between two climatic regimes, glacial and interglacial periods. The temperatures of glacial periods are colder, while the interglacial periods are warmer. The sea level of glacial periods are lower. On the other hand, interglacial periods are higher. The weather conditions of a glacial period are more extreme. Alternatively, interglacial periods are more stable. The climatic conditions of glacial period are drier. On the other hand, interglacial periods are more humid. The vegetation and wildlife are adapted to the cold and dry conditions in glacial periods, while the vegetation and wildlife are adapted to the warmer and wetter conditions in interglacial periods. And human populations is limited due to the harsh conditions in glacial period, and in case of interglacial periods, flourished due to the relatively warmer and more hospitable conditions.
Here we discuss about the effects of glacial and interglacial period. At first, the rise and fall of sea level. During a glacial, sea level drops an average of 100 meters as water is evaporated and stored in the growing glaciers and ice sheets. During an interglacial, sea level rise as ice sheets and glaciers melt with the increase in volume of the ocean as water is heated. Then subsequent erosion and deposition and changes in weather, drainage patterns and the distribution of plant and animal species. However, due to the combustion of fossil fuels resulting in an increase in global warming, the ice caps are melting at a more rapid pace annually, raising the sea level by an average of 3.2 mm per year over 70 mm since 1995. Then, conclusion. Presently, we are experiencing an abnormally long interglacial called the Holocene that has lasted nearly 11,000 years. A new glaciation has been expected to begin. However, due to human-induced climate change or anthropogenic climate change, the next glaciation is being delayed anywhere from a few thousands to hundreds of thousands of years. Therefore, it is expected that the Holocene interglacial may last at least 150,000 years. Thank you all.